so. Ja,
ja ungefähr. Die wollten das nicht, genau, dass es nicht schräg ist. Okay, und jetzt ist einfach, ist schon live.
Schau,
Super, ich habe schon. Schau, ich bin gerade schon auf die Seite. So. Ja. Ist live, oder? Ah, super. Schon, schon.
passt.
Das lassen wir.
Das lassen wir jetzt.
Und wenn ich, genau, und wenn es fertig ist, dann ist doch Stream beenden, oder?
Stream beenden, Aufnahme beenden.
Ah, stimmt, meine, klar. Passt. Dann, bis später. Danke.
Beendet automatisch.
Aber was heißt das?
Dass er dann den Stream abkappt. Ich stelle mal nur um.
Okay, aber wann? Okay. Danke. Ist schon live, ne? Also wir checken nochmal. Steht so das Bild vor dich, oder?
Ja, ist gut.
Gut. Bin der Marco übrigens. Wie vorgestellt, bin der Marco von dir.
Hallo.
Ja, von Team.
Wegen heute Nachmittag. Ne? Also es haben sich 6 angekündigt, die auch Stücke vorstellen würden. Aber je nachdem, wenn die jetzt anfangen, über das Große und Ganze zu reden, kannst du entscheiden, wie du das sozusagen. Die müssen auch nicht alle drankommen oder so weiter.
Klar, ja.
Das kannst du sozusagen vollkommen frei gestalten. Und dann musst du gucken, ob du irgendwie eine Pause machst irgendwann zwischendurch oder so.
Ja.
Das ist,
wo ist es dann?
das wird auch hier stattfinden, ja, genau.
So sicher, wir sind noch live. Also wir sind schon. Ja, streamen schon.
Okay.
Der Felix hat so eingestellt, jetzt ist schon. Man kann schon uns auf Felix.
jetzt sagen.
Uns auch.
Place myself somehow. Good morning, welcome to the first lecture in Limina Festival this year. We are very happy to have Johannes Kreidler with us. Some of you will know him from his earlier works, from the conceptual works. Maybe some will know him from his visual works as well. He's currently working in Basel, and he will present us something about self-sounders, and probably he will introduce himself much better than I do. So, have a pleasure, and we wish you an interesting hour.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sarah, Achim, crew, everyone here for inviting me. It's really an honor and pleasure for me. It's the first time at the Mozarteum. Self-sounders. My lecture has 6 parts. Here we go. 1 instrumentarium, 2 sound waves, 3 subjects, 4 installations, 5 meanings, and the conclusion. And there are subtitles: instrumentarium, from idea to hardware, sound waves, physics, aesthetics, subjects, bioalgorithms, installations, synthesis and empowerment, meanings, tipping points, a manifesto, and conclusion, RR. First, instrumentarium, from idea to hardware. The motor drum, 32 motorized beaters are arranged in a circle around the drum head. The motors can be controlled with extreme digital precision. This principle can be applied to any circular percussion instrument, for example, also a hi-hat or a bass drum or a tam-tam, or multiple drums, for example, 5 synchronized drums could also be arranged in an ensemble. The thunder sheet machine, die Donnerblechmaschine, sheets of various materials such as aluminium, silver, copper, stainless steel, brass, etc., and in different sizes from 5 to 10 centimeters up to 1 by 2 meters, and different thicknesses from really ultra thin 0.05 millimeter foils to half millimeter thick sheets are motorized to shake and bend. They are arranged in groups throughout the space. In addition, also video projection can be cast onto a sheet, or a video monitor is installed. A transducer can be attached to a sheet, turning it into a loudspeaker, or a reflective sheet create a self-portrait. Piano arrays are small MIDI keyboards played robotically. Each keyboard unit also functions as a visual building block for various arrangements, and the keyboards can be mapped with samples as desired. Wind instruments, literally wind machines such as leaf blowers or hair dryers, which are machine controlled in terms of on and off and intensity and thus pitch. Wind can be composed spatially, for example, arranged around the audience. An additional participatory element is 3D printed glissando flutes, designed as double flutes with slightly different lengths, producing a dissonant interval with different tone when blown into. By chance, I do have an example here. And the audience can pick then one and also join the wind. The equilibraphone, motorized rails along which glass or other wooden or metal spheres roll. Resonators of varying sizes under the rails produce different pitches and timbres. These can be arranged systematically, as you can see here. So this is a big resonator, and here is a tiny one, and the last one, the Discant, does not have a resonator. So can be arranged in such a systematic way from high to low, or more playfully. It is also be conceivable in a large scale, an entire room filled with these seesaws. The ruminating machine, the Krübelmaschine, so now moving towards more specific sonic semantics. Coarse and fine thoughts are churned here. The coarse don't sound much harsher than the fine granulate. And one could imagine this on an even larger scale as well, entire containers then, where huge scoops churn different materials with a crunching sound, an audible think tank, so to speak. Or the Sigh machine, die Seufzmaschine. Multiple CNC machines with superballs and mirrors. The motors rub the superballs against the smooth surfaces of the mirrors, producing a moan-like sound gesture. One might recognize one's own emotional state reflected in it. Motor flexatons, 7 mallets struck by motors against flexatons, which themselves are bent to varying degrees by motor power. The friktara, a rubophone, metal balls are dragged by motors over 3D printed rods of varying sizes, thicknesses and heights. As with the other instruments, the elements can be arranged in different configurations, tower-like, or as a screen, or as individually placed friction boards in all sorts of constellations. A foundational statement of conceptual art, which I have been close to for nearly 20 years, says, "The idea is a machine that produces the work of art," sentenced by Sol LeWitt. But the autonomous process, the one decoupled from direct intervention, is not only found in the realm of conceptual art, is literally present in a machine-based art that follows the laws of physics, produces the physical and translates it into the metaphysics. Conceptual music carried a certain logocentrism and are now placed beside it a deliberate materialism. Heating molecules, scraping through frequencies, thought vibrating yet standing still, a staggering point, the knots in space and time, the beating of hearts, everything has its frequency, its oscillation, its restlessness. And also a consequence of conceptual art, think fundamentally, push the boundaries and reframe things. Now not only compose music, but build instruments and conceptualize them or think them differently than usual human performance. So thus the connection to robotics becomes obvious. I will later show how these motorized instruments look and sound in action, of course. But for me, the invention and construction of motor musical instruments is explicitly also about visual design. They must meet aesthetic standards as exhibition objects. No cable chaos, no DIY look. So these are genuine sculptures, spatial installations. Example, the motor drum. It is one drum, so every strike on it sounds almost the same. So in theory, I could work with just one single stick. That would suffice, one could think. But with these 32 sticks arranged in a circle, I can also work choreographically. And yet, sonically, it is more nuanced. I can draw out different colors by varying the number of beaters striking simultaneously. And if you listen closely, different strikes are heard at different positions, more left or more right, so creating a stereo effect when standing near. Some sticks can maintain permanent contact with the membrane, damping it, while others strike. So the instrument offers enough expressive range to be considered a veritable instrument for which I, or theoretically others, can compose various pieces. Sound waves, physics, aesthetics. Since 2013, I've been creating sheet music paintings. So that's how these ones look like. So it's this structure of title and a minimalistic arrangement of notational elements referring to art history sometimes, and or also working with photos, or then I did also ones with much more sheet music elements. Yeah, or this sheet music code book. And then some of them I've really painted then in oil on canvas and then show them in exhibitions, or also other application on postcards, etc., etc. But in the iconography of sound and music, a remarkable shift has taken place over the last 10 years. While musical notes were previously the most common icons, stylized sound waves are now more frequently seen for voice messages, podcasts, and audio streaming platforms. This is the cover of the recently awarded German Book Trade Prize for novels. Yeah, and the Lumina poster as well shows a sound wave. The musical note is a symbol from the written tradition of music, a simplified reference to a score, to composition, to the interpretation of sound. The stylized sound wave, on the other hand, originates from the visual world of recording technology, oscilloscope, waveform editor, digital track in a sequencer, where the musical note is abstract. The wave is concrete. It shows an imprint of the sound itself, a document of the event, not its concept. One could say that this shift in icons reflects the movement from the composed to the recorded, from the work to the stream, from musical setting to sonification. Musical note icons point to something that still needs to be interpreted. Sound wave icons, on the other hand, assert immediacy, Here, this is the sound itself. A paradigm shift from the score as instructions to the audiophile as reality. The sound wave is no longer an interpretation of the work, but the work itself, so to speak. It documents the unique acoustic moment, whereas the note embodied the reproducible idea. In a culture of sampling, remixing, and voice messages, the concrete sonic progression becomes more important than its abstract notation. So, since 2021, I've been creating images and sculptures from and with sound waves. So here are some examples. So this can look like this, or here I scratched into oil paint, like sound would not go through air but through paint, or in a more quasi hand scribbled minimalistic way. Or here this is created with a plotter, and here a combination of very detailed sound waves as well as in a very low resolution particles. Also here quasi air particles, sound is contraction and extraction of air particles. So here the moment of extraction, something opens. Or here again scratched into oil paint, or here radio waves. This is Psy poems, so I use the word Stöhn here, arranged it in these various groups, so it's something between, well, a poem and a graphic. Well, this is my Soundwave sketchbook. I also made then sculptures with 3D print, so this is the spoken word no as a 3D print on a Euro palette, so if somebody just doesn't understand, did you get it now? No. Materialize your opinion. Or here this is a size, so I've made a whole exhibition project on size. So here as an adjective is then a sigh, or this is a whole wall of size then in the, or here this matter is just this size. As well as here is also a sigh here depicted with wooden sticks and in a corner, or yeah, and so I do show these works now in exhibitions. Representing sound as an amplitude curve over time in a Cartesian coordinate system abstracts the pressure and density fluctuations in an elastic medium, usually in air, that create the perception of sound in the biological ear. So this is basic physics. But it's not just that, it's how your vocal cords vibrate. Speaking is trembling, every sound is a rapid succession of loud and soft, pressure and counter-pressure, the displacement of a stretched medium. The Vitruvian man is in a state of vibration. Sound shown as a wave reveals its visually aesthetic richness. Subjects, bioalgorithms. Now, music and movement. This is the first piece from the 6-part cycle, Sticks for Motor Drum. piano arrays in various arrangements. The equilibraphone, listen closely so you hear the different timbres due to the different sizes of the resonators beneath the rails. And additionally, here also plays a motorized thunder sheet. Instruments that sound on their own are called idiophones in organology. This concept is taken further. Here they sound on their own because they play themselves. Bends for moto flexaton, that's the first piece from this cycle. The ruminating machine ruminates. The musical instrument as subject, from tool to counterpart. The sighing machine, how it sighs. Under development, the clustronome, a kind of cluster of frets that, for example, beat inside a grand piano. That could also beat on a body or on a tabletop guitar. The friktara sings with friction, dragging and dropping. are these subjects entities on their own? Of course, I programmed, respectively composed all of this. These things certainly don't have consciousness. But is everything then just an illusion of life or liveliness? Just as 25 images per second appear as movement, 25 individual acoustic